Barron Ridge Speakers Agency proudly presents Speaker Spotlight, highlighting one of our keynote speakers from across the nation. Now, here's your Spotlight host, Mindy East.
My guest today is Joseph Schillaci from A&E's First 48, the author of Inside My Prison of Darkness. Joe is an undercover narcotics officer and a former homicide detective. He now resides in Wichita, Kansas, so we are neighbors, kind of. And Joe is the personal protection expert on KWCH television here in Wichita. Joe, welcome this morning. It's nice to have you.
Thank you for having me, Mindy. I appreciate it.
You are one of my favorite speakers. You're so passionate, and your calling is really with safety issues. And so this morning we have a very important topic that's going to hit kind of close to home. You and I had a conversation earlier about an incident that I had recently, as in yesterday. So tell us a little bit about what COVID-19 is doing for the safety of our community. How's it impacting it?
Well, first and foremost, I want the audience to understand that when I speak, I'm not speaking from studies. I'm speaking from experience, not from the past, but from current, what I'm going through, what my family's going through, and what you just went through yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important that people understand that I'm not here to lecture anybody. I'm here to let them know what I'm going through, and hopefully they won't have to go through some of these experiences. And if they do, they would know how to handle it and how to react to it. We're in a very, very, very vulnerable time of our lives. Not they are, we are, I am. And what I mean by that is right now, all my thought is on my family and the health of my family. I have children in Florida that are grown adults, but they have my grandchildren. And, I'm worried sick about them. I have a stepson. I have a 6-year-old son, and I have my wife that I worry sick about. And unfortunately, because of my past experiences with post-traumatic stress, my vigilance is heightened. I'm hyper vigilant. So it makes it very, very difficult for me to just take a deep breath and stay calm. That is just so key under these circumstances, is that we stay calm and then we breathe and we love life and we live life, but be more aware. So right now, we are so distracted by the loss of employment, the loss of our finances, our health. Do we have loved ones that are hospitalized with this horrible, horrible disease? So there's so many distractions, and through those distractions, we're forgetting about other things that we need to focus on, including our own personal protection, our own personal safety. And when you called me this morning to tell me what happened, that is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. A perfect example. We are allowed to go out and exercise, and we should, but because we're so wrapped up on what's going on, we forget to be cognizant of what's going on around us while we're out running or jogging or doing whatever it is. And in your case, that could have been a very tragic situation. Very tragic.
Well, I'm so fortunate to have such a wonderful speaker in my agency as you, and I've been privileged to be at so many of your speaking engagements. So I've heard what you've your lessons and what you want to impart on the public. And so just really briefly, I was out walking my dogs yesterday morning, and a pickup truck, this is at 6:30 a.m. So the streets are pretty empty, and a pickup truck made 6 attempts to intercept me on my route. And so I ended up calling the police and calling a family member to remove me from the situation. But I knew from you've taught me, don't ever isolate yourself. And so I stayed away from a darkened part of the neighborhood that I would have been my normal route.
Well, that makes me feel real good, but it's not about me, it's about you. And because you listened and you paid attention to what I was trying to convey. And again, it's not through lecture, Mindy, it's through my own personal experiences. I know what it feels like to be preyed upon and to be injured to the point where I almost lost my life. I know what it feels like when somebody grabs you and tries to kidnap you. So I've been through these experiences. So when I speak to you or anybody else, it's through personal experience and, of course, professional experience. And you did exactly what you were supposed to do. The number one thing you did that probably saved your life or saved heartache and tragedy and injury is you were aware of your surroundings. I cannot impress that upon you and everybody else enough. And in this climate that we're in right now, we are so distracted. So it's no wonder that people are not aware of their surroundings. And you were. And because of it, you're able to divert or be able to draw your attention to a predator. Because make no bones about it, he was preying on you. Because nobody tries 6 different times to intercept, you physically, without some plan. He's preying on you. And thank goodness, thank God, that you had the wherewithal to be aware of your surroundings. And that's what I would tell people today in this segment, whether you're at home, whether you're out, because we have to go out, we have to go shopping. That there are predators that are preying on all of our weaknesses right now because they know we're vulnerable. So I think that's key. I also think it's key that we understand while we're home, isolated with our families, like in my case, where this could get overwhelming to us, that we got to be careful about how we treat our families, because we have to remember they're going through it as well. You're not just going through it, they're going through it. So communicate with them, tell them how you feel and listen to them. Listen to what their frustrations are, because they may be very frustrated with you and the way you're behaving, but they don't know how to communicate communicate it to you. So give them that opportunity and listen to them. Listen to their frustrations. So important. But above all, Mindy, above all of this, if I could convey anything to anybody that's listening, anything, is to not forget to breathe. Not forget that as long as you're doing everything that you're doing, we have all the experts trying to keep us safe by not exposing yourself to too many people, and wearing your mask and following all these instructions, then in all likelihood you will be safe. But it's so important, so vital that we trust and we listen to what the experts are telling us. And the proof is in the numbers. All we got to do is just follow those numbers. But I caution you not to do what I was doing, and that's gluing yourself to a TV, every hour of every day, because that's going to drive you crazy. It's going to drive you crazy. And then again, let me repeat it. Once you do go out, just be aware of your surroundings. Anybody knocks at your door, offering you assistance or telling you that they're from the IRS to deliver checks, or they're there to test you, they are scammers. They're scammers. They're trying to scam you. So be cognizant of that as well, because unfortunately, there are those predators that are out there as well. Just follow the rules of safety.
And that's something that I don't think people think about. We haven't really taken that into account. You're the first person that's brought this up to me in this entire COVID-19 crisis. And you're right. We've heard all about, masks and wash your hands and social safety distancing, but no one has brought up the fact that we're, number one, distracted, number two, vulnerable, and number three, there are people out there that are acting on impulses that might be at the edge of their rope as well.
That's a great point. A very, very, very good point. Because right now we were already living in somewhat stressful times. Now think of it as times 1,000. You know, we're just right now very, very vulnerable, very stressed. So you can see it when people are out driving in their mannerisms. You can see it when you're in the shopping malls, how people are reacting to each other because of this distancing, and they don't want to get sick. They don't want to get loved ones sick, or they don't want to give somebody else sick. When I go out and I wear my gear, it's not just about me getting sick. I'm worried about getting somebody else sick because I may be, asymptomatic. So I'm not just thinking about me, myself, or my family. I'm thinking about others. So it is a very stressful time. And there's nothing wrong with it. Covering your heart when you pass somebody, or a nod, or just a simple smile. If they can't see you behind that mask, give them a nod. Just let them know you're thinking about them, and that you care about them, and you're not just, trying to avoid them. You're just trying to keep them safe as well as yourself safe, in these very, very difficult times.
Well, I think you brought up a great valid point too. And I believe those of us who are on social media see a lot of that reflected in just the attitude and mindset, and just the anger and animosity. It's just very rampant. So what would you say, what could people do? You've touched on some great points. Anything else we should be doing at home, maybe with our families, while we're waiting this out safely?
Sure. The most important thing is to reassure. And it's funny, Mindy, because I find myself forgetting about that. Forgetting to reassure my 6-year-old or my 16-year-old stepson or my wife that we will get through this. I feel like I got to take this leading role of, no, you can't go out to get groceries. We got to get a plan first. Or no, JJ, you can't approach your neighborhood childhood friend because you could get them sick or they could get you sick. I'm so geared and so concentrating on that I'm forgetting some of the finer things, and that is to reassure each other. As long as you are following what the rules of engagement, that everybody in your family will be safe. Just reassure them. Everybody will be okay. And don't forget to laugh, and sure, and enjoy each other's company. Take it. I know this is going to come across wrong, but take advantage of my late mom used to say, and I know she's watching down on me right now, and she's smiling. She said, make the best of the worst situations. Make the best of the worst situations. So you have no choice. You're isolated with your families. This is the first time probably in your lives where you're able to spend incredible amounts of quality time with them. So use it to your advantage. Use it to their advantage. And I have to practice what I preach, because what I'm doing is I'm isolating myself behind my work because I have a lot of work. But I also remember to take my time. Okay, at this time I get off of work and I go outside and I throw the ball around with my son. Or 3 times a day, my wife and my 2 sons, my stepson and my other son, we walk. Mm-hmm. And when we walk, we know that if we're going to approach somebody, that we step out of their way of approaching. So we keep them safe and they keep us safe. But we enjoy each other's company. Don't make it all about this horrible, horrible, horrible virus. Mm-hmm. Take advantage of it. Make the best of it. Now is the time that you haven't had to start listening to your kids, to start listening to your spouses. What more perfect opportunity than it is right now to do that?
Well, and you brought up a great idea too. I just thought of this. We're just on the verge of storm season. So a good project for kids would be to put together items that go into an emergency preparedness kit. Mm-hmm. And if you are home and you've got a little extra time, what are some things people can do around their house to make it safe?
Mindy, that's a phenomenal point, because we do have all this extra time. And now is the time to take advantage of these situations to keep our family safe And again, I'll say it again. Make sure when you're doing this with your family, you're reassuring them. Because my son, my 6-year-old, is asking me about tornadoes because we had family time sitting around watching the movie Twister. So now he wants to know all about twisters and tornadoes. So the most important thing about keeping your family safe is reassurance, whether it's a fire, whether it's an intruder, whether it's a inclement weather, whether it's this horrible virus. You have to reassure your family that they're going to be safe. That is above and beyond all. Then with this plan, you roll out your plans, you talk about, okay, what do we do if we have a fire? Versus not being reactive, but being proactive. Have that plan in place before it happens. We don't expect it to happen, but if it does, at least we all have a plan that we know to get out of the house.
Sure.
To a safe location where we're all going to meet. Make sure somebody grabs a phone. Make sure that we all meet and we know where each other's at that meeting location when we do meet, okay? We don't want to forget about pets because we know loved ones love to go back into homes to get their pets. So you want to make sure you have a plan for your pets as well. Mm-hmm. As far as the fire is concerned, the most important thing to remember is do not worry about possessions. They can be replaced. Leave them and get out of the house. Mm-hmm. Now that, of course, is if it's a fire that's uncontrollable. And if you got a little small fire that's isolated to some clothing that you could put out with a fire extinguisher, by all means, you put it out. Don't let it grow to where you can't control it. Sometimes people forget about that. So again, these are things that you could talk to your family about. If you have a tornado and you're fortunate enough to have service from TV or from radio telling you that, they're in the area, there's tornadoes, sirens going off. Again, have this plan. Know where you're going to meet. Know where your tornado shelter is beforehand. And a perfect example of this is last year, I talked my family through this, and we did have a tornado come into the area, and I went looking for my stepson, and guess where he was at?
Outside.
No, he was in the shelter.
Oh, good.
He listened to what I taught him.
Good.
And he went into the shelter. So again, we had a plan. We didn't fail to plan. Okay? We had this plan. Sure. Sometimes people just forget the smallest things, and everything falls into place with a plan. If you have an intruder, you have that crazy knock at the door or banging at the door, 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and that is not going to be good. So you want to have a plan, okay? If somebody's breaking down that door, you want to get out of the house. If somebody's already gained entry into the house and you can't get out of the house, it's what we call run, hide, fight. If you can't run away, hide. But have a good hiding spot. Have a good safe room, where that intruder can't make entry. It's a good solid door. It's not a bathroom door. It's going to be somewhere that's got a real good solid door behind it that locks, that you can barricade, and you want to make sure you bring the cell phone with you. And again, you want to make sure you keep your family calm. You got to stay calm as you can in situations like that. We would all like to think that something like that would never happen. And I've had these talks with people, and I strongly believe that they will not happen. But if they do, at least you have a plan versus that, now what do I do? You're caught. You don't know what to do.
Well, and also, there are some people that are still working that have essential jobs. And so they're still going into the office or into the factory every day. Can you just wrap up a little bit of as far as what safety issues should we be considering if we're still going to and from work?
Well, again, I know I keep repeating myself. The most important thing is to understand that we're in a much different climate, that people are behaving much differently because they're stressed, they're worried. I myself, am acting differently. I'm not as calm as I normally am. I'm a little bit on edge. I'm a lot on edge. So just understand that when we venture out to our work, that people are driving differently, they're acting differently. So if you're facing a road rage situation, to avoid it, walk away from it. If you're in a store where you're trying to get that last roll of paper towels or last roll of toilet paper and somebody's willing to fight you for it, I know it sounds crazy, but it's happening. Walk away from it. It's not worth it. It's not worth fighting over that parking spot because you need to get into that store to get it what you can because people are hoarding. Just walk away from it. Now, if you're at work, people at work, your coworkers, they're acting differently because they're worried as well. So just understand that. Be patient. Be understanding, okay, with people, and please keep your distance. That's
good point.
At these times, the most important part is to keep your distance.
So, in closing, I know every cloud, every storm has a silver lining. What do you see good coming out of this?
Love that question. And I'm glad you asked it because I don't think it's being asked enough. Seeing the glass half full, like I like to think I do. I see like what I see with my family. We do have our struggles and our frustrations, but I see this unity. I see this uniting front. I see us having conversations that we may not have had in the past. I see this togetherness. I see now my 6-year-old telling me things, that I've been teaching him, and I see a more unconditional passion and love for each other. Not that we didn't have it before, but I'm more aware of it now. And that, Mindy, is the silver lining. That in itself is the silver lining in a horrible, horrible situation. And if you could just, if your audience could just take that deep breath and tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to make the best out of the worst situation. I'm going to be there for my family. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to listen to them, not with my ears, but with my heart. And I'm going to support them. These are things that we haven't had that privilege to this level because we're either in school, we're either at work, we're spending more time than we ever have. So what better time ever in our lifetime than for us to come together as a family and to passionately love and respect each other and learn from this, because my 6-year-old will never forget about this experience. And remember that. He's never going to forget about it.
Right.
Okay? So whatever good you're giving to them, they're going to remember. And whatever bad you're giving to them, they're going to remember.
They'll remember. Well, Joe, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom. And I hope everyone puts into practice these safety measures that you've brought up. And, you brought up some great points that people are distracted, they're vulnerable, and people might be acting out of impulse that normally wouldn't. So we appreciate your expertise. And if anyone wants to have you come and speak at a conference or at an event, they can find you through me. So once again, you're one of my favorite people, and I just appreciate you so much. Thank you, Joe.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing too, Mindy. It's giving back, and it's making a huge, huge, huge difference. Look at what just happened to you. So God bless, and everybody just be safe, and don't forget to breathe. Take that breath of air and laugh. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Please join us next time. For more information on booking a keynote speaker or event MC, contact Mindy East at Barron Ridge Speakers Agency.